If your home was built before the mid-1990s, there is a very real chance you have pipe material hiding in your walls or buried under your yard that builders are no longer allowed to install. And some of these materials are not just outdated, they are genuinely dangerous. With over 25 years of hands-on plumbing experience, I have ripped out every single one of these materials from real homes, and I have seen the damage they cause when homeowners wait too long. Today, I am walking you through 7 pipe materials that are now banned or restricted in new construction, why they failed, and exactly what it means if they are still in your home. Stick around for number 6, because that one surprises a lot of people, and the bonus tip at the end could save you from a disaster you never saw coming. The first banned pipe material we need to talk about is lead pipes. This is the oldest offender on the list, and it is the one with the most serious health consequences. Lead was the go-to material for water supply lines from the late 1800s all the way through the 1940s, and in some cities, it was still being installed into the early 1950s. At the time, plumbers loved it because lead is incredibly soft and easy to work with. You could bend it around corners without fittings, and it lasted a long time underground. But here's the problem nobody understood back then. Lead is a potent neurotoxin, and when water sits in a lead pipe, or when the water chemistry is even slightly acidic, lead leaches directly into your drinking water. There is no safe level of lead exposure according to the Centers for Disease Control. Children are especially vulnerable, but adults suffer too from kidney damage, high blood pressure, and neurological issues. The Federal Safe Drinking Water Act banned the use of lead pipes in new construction in 1986. But that law did not require anyone to rip out existing lead pipes. That means if your home was built before the late 1940s, or if your service line connecting to the city main is original, there is a real possibility you are still drinking water that passes through lead. The fix is full replacement. There is no coating, no liner, and no filter that is a permanent solution. If you suspect lead supply lines, get your water tested through your local municipality or a certified lab. Many cities are now offering subsidized or free lead service line replacements, so check with your water authority before you pay out of pocket. The second pipe material on this list is polybutylene, commonly called PB pipe. If your home was built between 1978 and 1995, pay close attention, because this one might be sitting in your walls right now. Polybutylene was marketed as the pipe of the future. It was cheap, flexible, easy to install, and it looked like it was going to replace copper entirely. Builders loved it because it cut installation costs dramatically, and for the first few years, it seemed to work fine. But here is what nobody anticipated. The chlorine and other oxidants used in municipal water treatment slowly attack polybutylene from the inside out. The pipe develops microfractures that are invisible to the naked eye, and then one day, without any warning, it fails, catastrophically. We are not talking about a slow drip. We are talking about a supply line bursting inside a finished wall or ceiling and flooding an entire floor of your home in minutes. There was a massive class action lawsuit, Cox versus Shell Oil, that resulted in a $950 million settlement. Polybutylene is banned in all new construction nationwide. You can identify it easily. It is a flexible gray pipe, sometimes blue or black, on the exterior lines, usually with copper or plastic crimp rings at the fittings. The fittings themselves are actually the weakest point. If you have polybutylene in your home, the only recommendation any reputable plumber will give you is a full repipe. Most insurance companies are also aware of polybutylene, and some will not insure a home that still has it, or they will charge significantly higher premiums. The replacement material of choice today is PEX, which is cross-linked polyethylene. It handles chlorinated water without degradation and comes with a 25-year warranty from most manufacturers. The third material that has been effectively banned from new construction is galvanized steel pipe. This was the standard for both supply and drain lines from the 1920s through the 1960s, and you will still find it in millions of homes across the country. Galvanized steel is regular steel pipe that has been coated with a layer of zinc to prevent rust. The idea was sound in theory, but in practice, that zinc coating breaks down over time. Once the zinc is gone, the bare steel underneath corrodes rapidly. Rust builds up on the inside of the pipe, gradually narrowing the interior diameter. Homeowners with galvanized supply lines notice the symptoms long before they understand the cause. Water pressure drops year after year. Hot water flow is weaker than cold because the hot lines corrode faster. The water itself may come out with a brownish or yellowish tint, especially first thing in the morning. But here's the part that most people do not know. When the zinc coating corrodes, it can release trapped lead into the water. Many galvanized pipes were originally dipped in zinc baths that contained lead as an impurity. And as that coating breaks down, lead enters your drinking water. Modern building codes in virtually every jurisdiction prohibit galvanized steel for new water supply lines. The standard replacement is copper or PEX. If you are doing a partial repipe, be aware that connecting copper directly to galvanized steel creates a galvanic corrosion reaction that accelerates failure. You need a dielectric union or a brass transition fitting between the two metals. A full repipe is the best long-term solution, but if budget is a concern, start with the hot water lines, since those fail first. If this kind of practical plumbing knowledge is something you want more of, I have written a guide called 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes that will save you $10,000. It is packed with repairs you can do yourself this weekend without calling a plumber. Scan the QR code right now or check the first link below. All right, let us continue. The fourth pipe material on this list is Orangeburg pipe, also known as bituminized fiber pipe, and this one is a real nightmare. Orangeburg was manufactured from the 1940s through about 1972, and it was used almost exclusively for sewer lines running from the house to the municipal sewer main. The name comes from Orangeburg, New York, where the fiber conduit company produced it. Here is what Orangeburg actually is. It is layers of wood pulp and cellulose fibers pressed together and impregnated with hot coal tar pitch. Essentially, it is a pipe made out of compressed tar-soaked paper. During World War II, there were severe shortages of metal, so builders turned to Orangeburg as a cheap alternative for sewer lines. After the war, they just kept installing it because it was so inexpensive. The problem is obvious once you understand the material. Orangeburg has no structural rigidity compared to cast iron or clay. Over decades, the weight of the soil above it causes the pipe to deform, often collapsing into an oval shape or flattening entirely. Tree roots penetrate it easily because the material is soft. Once it starts to fail, you get sewage backing up into your basement or crawl space, slow drains throughout the house, and soggy spots in the yard that smell terrible. Orangeburg was effectively banned by the early 1970s when building codes caught up with reality. If your home was built between 1940 and 1972 and the sewer line has never been replaced, there is a strong chance you are sitting on Orangeburg. The only way to confirm is a sewer camera inspection, which typically costs between $150 and $300. There is no repair for Orangeburg. No lining, no patching. It must be excavated and replaced, usually with Schedule 40 PVC. The cost varies significantly depending on depth, length, and landscaping, but expect somewhere between $3,000 and $7,000 for a typical residential replacement. The fifth material that has been increasingly restricted is CPVC, which stands for chlorinated polyvinyl chloride, CPVC. Now, this one is more nuanced than the others on this list because CPVC is not universally banned. It is still permitted in many parts of the country. However, a growing number of jurisdictions have banned or restricted it in new construction, and there are very good reasons why. CPVC has been used for hot and cold water supply lines since the 1960s. It handles higher temperatures than regular PVC, which is why it was approved for supply lines while regular PVC was only allowed for drain, waste, and vent applications. The problem with CPVC is that it becomes brittle over time, especially when exposed to certain chemicals. Contact with common household products like insect sprays, certain adhesives, and even some plumber's putty formulations causes a chemical reaction called environmental stress cracking. The pipe looks perfectly fine on the outside, but the molecular structure has been compromised. Then one day you bump it, or there is a minor pressure surge, and it snaps clean in half with no warning. Several major metropolitan areas in California, certain jurisdictions in Florida, and parts of the Midwest have moved to restrict or ban CPVC in new residential construction. Insurance claim data shows that CPVC failures are among the most common causes of catastrophic water damage in homes built from the 1980s through the 2000s. If you have CPVC in your home, do not panic, but do inspect it. Look for discoloration, hairline cracks near fittings, and any areas where the pipe has been exposed to chemicals. Avoid hanging anything from CPVC lines and never use them as a support for other items. If you are planning a repipe, PEX is the modern standard replacement. The sixth material on this list is cast iron drain pipe, and this is the one that surprises a lot of homeowners. Cast iron was the gold standard for drain, waste, and vent systems from the early 1900s all the way into the 1970s, and in some areas, even into the 1980s. Unlike the other materials on this list, cast iron was not banned because of a design flaw or a health hazard. It was phased out of new construction primarily because PVC and ABS plastic drain pipes are cheaper, lighter, easier to install, and they do not corrode. But here is why cast iron belongs on this list. If your home has original cast iron drain pipes that are 40, 50, or 60 plus years old, those pipes are approaching or have already passed their expected lifespan. Cast iron corrodes from the inside out. The iron reacts with water and waste, forming rust and scale that gradually eats through the pipe wall. The most common failure point is the bottom of horizontal runs, where standing water sits between uses. You might notice slow drains, sewer gas odor, or wet spots on ceilings below bathroom or kitchen plumbing. In advanced cases, the pipe develops holes and raw sewage leaks into your walls or subfloor. The tricky part about cast iron is that it can look completely solid from the outside while being paper thin on the inside. I have seen pipes that crumbled when I touched them with a screwdriver. A sewer camera inspection can show the interior condition, but even cameras cannot always detect how thin the walls have become. Replacement is typically done with Schedule 40 PVC for drain lines. If you are replacing cast iron in a multi-story home, keep in mind that PVC is louder than cast iron. Water flowing through plastic pipes creates more noise. Some homeowners opt for cast iron replacement with a modern product called hubless cast iron, which uses rubber couplings with stainless steel band clamps, specifically in areas where noise is a concern like bedroom walls. The key takeaway is that if your cast iron is original to a home built before 1975, get it inspected. Do not wait for a sewage leak to force your hand. The seventh and final pipe material on this list is copper pipe with lead solder joints. Now, copper itself is an excellent pipe material. It is durable, reliable, and it is still approved for use in new construction everywhere. The problem is not the copper. It is what was used to join the copper together. Before 1986, the standard solder used to sweat copper fittings contained up to 50% lead. That lead solder sits at every single joint in the system, and over time, particularly in homes with aggressive or acidic water, lead leaches from those joints directly into the drinking water supply. The federal ban on lead solder in plumbing systems took effect in 1986 under an amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act. Since then, all plumbing solder must be lead-free, typically using a tin antimony or tin silver alloy instead. But just like with lead pipes, the ban only applied to new installations. It did not require retroactive removal. So if your copper plumbing was installed before 1986, every soldered joint in your system potentially contains lead. The risk is highest in the first few years after installation when the solder is freshest, but studies have shown that lead can continue to leach for decades, especially in homes with soft water or low pH water. The most practical first step is to test your water. Home test kits are available for around $20 to $30, but a certified lab test through your municipality is more reliable and sometimes free. If lead is detected above the EPA action level of 15 parts per billion, you have a few options. A whole house water filter certified for lead removal can address the immediate health concern. Long term, if the copper pipes are in good condition, a plumber can cut out the old joints and resolder them with lead-free solder, though this is labor-intensive. In some cases, a full repipe to PEX makes more economic sense, particularly if the copper is also showing signs of pinhole leaks from corrosion. All right, here is the bonus tip that pros actually use, and it is something I wish more homeowners understood. If your home was built before 1986, do not just check one type of pipe. Check every material and every connection in the entire system. Here is why. It is extremely common in older homes to find a patchwork of materials. I have opened walls and found original galvanized steel supply lines connected to copper with no dielectric union, lead solder at every copper joint, a cast iron main stack that is rusting through at the base, and an Orangeburg sewer line out in the yard, all in the same house. Each material has its own failure timeline, and when one fails, the emergency repair often gets all the attention, while the other ticking time bombs get ignored. The pro move is to get a comprehensive plumbing assessment. Not just a sewer camera, not just a water test, but a full evaluation of every visible pipe, fitting, and connection in the home. Many plumbers offer this as a standalone service for between $200 and $400. That single investment gives you a prioritized replacement plan so you can budget and schedule work on your terms instead of reacting to emergencies at 2 in the morning. Knowledge is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. That wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching.